I want to get a little bit more into detail this morning as well on this Murphy administration scheme to incentivize your school boards to actually raise your property taxes beyond the 2% cap. And Brooke, in Old Bridge, your property taxes went up by how much this year?
Our property taxes for the school tax levy last year was 9.9%. And this year we're facing the township assessment, a reassessment, which hasn't been in years. So our taxes are going to go up a lot on that end. And now we're going to be down $30 million for this year as far as the tax levy for school. So God only knows how much we're going to, how much percentage-wise that's going to be, per resident, per family.
Well, you're the perfect example, Brooke, of why they need to address the school funding formula rather than incentivizing school boards to simply go after more of your money. Assemblyman Alex Sauickie joins me now on New Jersey 101.5. Alex, I'm so glad that I wasn't the only one that noticed this and found it to be absolutely ridiculous. You actually call it illegal.
Yeah, good morning. I don't see anything in law that allows for it. You mentioned the 2% cap. That's been in place since the Christie administration, and it was bipartisan. And one of the better things I think the legislature at the time passed. Last year, as your previous caller mentioned, certain school districts, those that were just devastated beyond belief, were allowed to, by way of Board of Education vote, increase up to 9.9%. Yeah. But that was for 1 year only. So the 2% cap is back in place, and there's been no legislation that says you can go above it.
Yet what essentially the Department of Education is saying is that if you go ahead and raise your property taxes beyond that 2% cap, we're going to kick in a 5% state match up to $1 million. So what school district wouldn't do that?
Right. And from what I understand, there's close to 300 school districts that they've reached out to offering that. If they all took them up on it, that would be about $300 million. Where is that budget coming from? Because there's nothing in the budget this year that would cover the cost of that.
So have you reached out at all to the DOE or the Murphy administration for an explanation or for their validation of this policy?
Well, actually, I think even a different route. I went to the Office of Legislative Services, which you probably know is nonpartisan,
Yep.
and is the legal arm, if you will, of Trenton. And they confirmed for me they don't know of anything that would allow for this currently. So you have the DOE reaching out to school districts saying, go as high as you want. I mean, you have the Lacey School District right now considering a 33% increase in property tax. And we will match you, the DOE will match you $1 million. It's a complete scheme. And as far as I can tell, they're not allowed to do it right now.
And then we talked to a woman who's in the Little Egg Harbor district, and she said that it was a 32.6% increase in their property taxes in Little Egg Harbor.
Yeah, I mentioned that in the article I put out yesterday. Little Egg Harbor, which I don't even represent, 33%, Jackson 28%, the Plumstead New Egypt School District 18%, and as your previous caller just came in, I represent Old Bridge as well. Old Bridge, Toms River, Flemington, Raritan, all are facing the same kind of thing.
Well, I guess my next question, and I think I know the answer already, and we're talking with Assemblyman Alex Sauickie, is there anything that can be done about it? Because this is also being done without the public really voting on it.
That's right. And things definitely need to be done about it. It needs to be done legislatively. We need to address the funding formula. You and I have talked about the devastating S2 legislation that was in effect. That's pretty much done at this point. So now we're really back to the original funding formula, which was passed in the early 2000s. We need to redo it because what's not being talked about are the results. Plumstead, New Egypt, even if they raise 18%, are going to lose all of their electives. So no music, no art, no AP classes, and their class sizes are going to be 43-1 in their elementary schools.
Ridiculous. Yeah, it is ridiculous. Alex Sauickie, Assemblyman, Republican Assemblyman, thanks for joining the morning show on New Jersey 101.5. Always great to talk to you. I don't know how many times we can continue to have these conversations about just ridiculous policy coming out of the Murphy administration that has, first of all, no basis in law, apparently, but actually incentivizes making New Jersey less affordable. And does anybody even believe it when you hear Phil Murphy talk about a fairer, more affordable New Jersey? When he gave his big farewell speech, as part of his budget address, and was touting the fact that under 7 years of Phil Murphy, New Jersey has become fairer, it's become more affordable, it's become a better place to live. How does he say that with a straight face. Well, I mean, first of all, he's a rich guy. So he doesn't have to worry about, he looks at that and go, oh, all right, well, what is that? That's an extra $5,000 a year. I've got that right here. That's somebody who clearly has never had, in his adult life anyway, to balance a checkbook and manage a family budget. And when you sit and you look at all of that stuff, and okay, so maybe it's $50 here or $100 here or $1,000 here. When you start adding up all of those little things and you get right down to it, it adds up to real money. New Jersey already has the least amount of disposable income in the nation. Yes, we make more money than most other states, just as a rule, because that's the cost of living here. But we spend it on the cost of living. 1-800-283-101.5 if you want to comment on any of this. If you got a primary election coming up and you got an election in November, this is what 20 years of Democratic control of the legislature has gotten you. Now it's up to you to see if you can change it.